Hi, welcome to the Catholic Corner. I'm Monsignor Walter Nolan. Did you ever want to write a book? I guess we all get those thoughts once in a while. This has been a dream of my guest today, just a marvelous young man, and I'm just so happy to be with him today. But ever since he was in the 7th grade, Joe McQuarrie, who's now a senior at Notre Dame High School, always wanted to write a book. And his dream came true just a couple of years back. Joe, as I mentioned, is a Notre Dame High School senior in Lawrenceville, and he's the author of the book, A Teen's Take on Tinseltown, the 25 Greatest Movies. It's a great book, great book. Joe is also the first Catholic University of America Most Reverend David O'Connell's Service Scholarship. Maybe I'll explain that just a little bit. You know, our bishop now is David O'Connell, became our bishop a short time ago, and just recently, when he was talking to us and talking to everybody, he said he was given a gift from Catholic University, where he was actually the head of the whole university, and the gift was that he could give a scholarship every year, I think, 4-year scholarship to a young person who was going to be going to Catholic University and deemed worthy because of love and service. Our guest today is the first recipient of that scholarship. Yeah, I'm proud of you. This is terrific. But not only is he just, you know, an exceptionally fine young man and loved by his parents, but his own students at Notre Dame really honor him. And that's probably one of the greatest honors you can have, when your own peers give you that kind of respect, because he was named homecoming king at one of their big events. He's also a young man who I'm very proud to say is in love with his God and is in love with his Catholic faith. Joseph, God love you. Honest, what a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you.
What
the pleasure is all mine.
Joseph doesn't know it, but the day he got the scholarship, I come off the altar and shook his hand, and he said, oh. So it's another handshake. Tell me about this dream of yours to write a book. You're only in the 7th grade. I mean, when I was in the 7th grade, I think I was like shooting marbles or something. You're writing books.
Yeah, actually, I remember in 5th grade is when the first time the idea actually got in my mind. I was a big movie fan, movie buff and stuff. And I remember one year at Christmas, I was talking to my uncle, and I was telling him how I was going to make this list of like the best movies that I knew, and he was like, you should publish that. So it kind of planted the idea in my head, and through 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I just worked on this thing until it finally became like a binded book. My parents got it for me. So yeah, it was a big passion project for me.
Now, how long did it take you to write it? Or tell us about this whole book. I mean, what are some of the movies that you have in there?
Well, in 5th grade, I started the list, and I knew I needed a lot more like movies to watch to kind of like fill it out. So I went to the movie store a lot. I'd rent like tons of movies every time I went there, and kind of fattened up the list. And then once I had that, I just wrote about them, and I created like a countdown of them. So yeah, once I had like 100 movies, I wrote something about each one, and I put it together in a book. And then when I was a freshman, my parents for Christmas took everything I wrote and binded it like that, and it was like my book. It was like finally finished.
So you've had that now for 4 years or so, 4 years?
3 years I've had that, yeah.
Wow. The closest I ever came to a book was like a joke. You could get a book with blank pages and have a cover made with your name on it. And I did that once. Everybody kept saying, oh, you wrote a book. And they see blank pages in the middle. But that's outstanding, Joseph. That's really outstanding. And you did it all by yourself, or did anybody give you a little help? I mean, you said your uncle gave you...
I had a little help. My aunt proofread a lot of pieces for me, and my parents helped me get started and everything, but mostly it was just kind of me writing and proofreading and designing and laying out and everything and watching the movies and stuff.
Now, you've seen a lot of movies then.
I've seen a lot of movies, yes.
At home? I mean, was that like...
At home, in the theater, like on DVD, TV, anywhere I could.
Wow. Did you ever do a movie, or?
I did like a home video thing for my grandparents' 50th anniversary with my brothers and sisters. We made one together, and it was fun. It is.
Wow. Now, you're a senior at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Are you going to, are you Catholic U? What are you going to study at Catholic U?
I'm going to study education.
Okay.
I'd like to become a teacher.
Wow, back at Notre Dame.
Back at Notre Dame, or maybe the little guys like elementary.
Come to St. Paul's. We'll give you a job right now. Boy, isn't that terrific. Tell me, what was the most difficult part about writing a book? I mean...
I think kind of the setbacks with it. A lot of it was done kind of on the computer and technology isn't always friendly to me, and sometimes like something would get messed up or I'd lose stuff, or like the computer would like break down and like I'd lose a bunch of stuff. I'd have to start back from square one. So the setbacks were kind of annoying, but
You mean you'd have a whole story about a movie and,
yeah,
and it would
then
disappear?
It would disappear. It would break the chip that I had it on or something like that. So I'd have to start over. It's daunting.
And it never took away your personality.
No, I kept at it. Just made me work
good.
harder.
Well, that's good. That's good. How did you pick the 25 movies? I mean, you said you started with 100?
Yeah, what I did was I had 100 things, and that's the shortened version of it. The actual thing is 100 movies, and I write about each one. And then it just made more sense to kind of narrow it down to 25, so it could be more like accessible. And yeah,
Now,
it was
are
just,
these movies, what would I say, are they moral movies? Are they fun movies? Are they a combination of things?
it's sort of a combo of everything, kind of the movies that kind of shaped me and who I am, like which had the biggest impact on me.
Does anybody ever ask you, like, what's your favorite movie, or do you have a bunch of them?
I have a bunch, but probably my favorite would be It's a Wonderful Life, the old one, the
yeah,
old Christmas
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's #1 in the book, yeah.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, watch it every year with my family. It's a great one.
Terrific. It's terrific. Now, how about, you're always smiling. What's the most fun about doing a book like this? Or what's the most fun about looking at movies and writing about them?
Well, I don't know. I think part of it was it gave you something to kind of work on. Like I don't know, in between schoolwork and friends and going out and stuff, I always had something that was kind of like a goal to reach towards. And like once you get on the roll and you get momentum and you start writing it and it gets like closer to being done, it was kind of fun. It was like a sense of accomplishment.
Sure. But how do you get time? You're in high school.
I don't know. That's why it took me 8 years to finish it.
I mean, I can see all the how popular you are. I mean, you got tons of friends and and
Yeah, I'm very blessed.
It's a beautiful thing, and yet your subjects, you do well in your schoolwork, and yet you have time to knock out a book.
Yeah, just in my spare time.
In your spare time. Well, do you learn a lot? I mean, I know at Notre Dame, other high schools, you have courses, I think, on writing and things. Did you have a couple of things in your back pocket when they said, well, you have to write something? Oh, I got one done already.
Actually, yeah, I took a film class this year. It was a new course they were doing at Notre Dame. It's called Intro to Film. And the teacher actually found out I had written a book about it, and she let me teach a class one day. So I got to teach a film class at the age of like 17. So that was a big accomplishment, too.
Now, the diocese doesn't they have a program or something that they show films? Or
Yeah, they have like a film festival.
Have you ever done that yet?
No, I haven't. I'm looking to go to the next one, actually.
Okay, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, I would really enjoy that.
My God. So you learned a lot about writing. I mean, when you write articles on movies and all, does it somehow like reflect and kind of think, well, gee, I could be that person, or I want to change a little bit because of what that story taught me.
Yeah, I think the deeper you look inside movies, like when you really get out of them, it kind of shapes you as a person. Like It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite movies that shaped me as a person. Like I think #2 is The Godfather, and it's all about like family and stuff. And it gives you a deeper understanding of those kind of things. Schindler's List we were just talking about, a deeper purpose of helping people. And it is, like the really best movies, they kind of stay with you.
Sure. And I think the best movies are almost true movies in a sense, like the stories of life that somebody now has either written about because there's nothing greater. Even when I talk sometimes, I say, the easiest way to talk is just to tell a story. Especially if you know the story, or you've been part of the story, or you embellish the story or something. Wow. How about you? I know you're a fine young man, and your faith is important to you. Do you think your faith, the Catholic faith, and your upbringing, because you have great parents, and I always say to kids, when you have great parents, I mean, hug them, tell them you love them, and in fact, go home tonight and tell them I told you. They tell them you love them.
I will definitely tell them that.
But that's I mean. There's not a whole lot to life. There's family, there's love, there's doing what you think God wants you to do. And I think that's the joy. But did that help you a little bit? I mean, your faith and your love of God and your love of family when you were looking at movies or writing the movies or
definitely. When I was writing this book and I'd have like a setback, like I'd lose work that I already did and that kind of stuff, like it kind of brings you down for a little while, but you kind of put it in God's hands. There's a reason for everything and that you keep going. He's got a plan. So that definitely helped a lot when I didn't think I was gonna finish it or that it got like too hard or anything.
Sure, sure. How much time would you put in? Does it vary on each one, each movie, or, I mean, was it about the same the time you make some notes, you have some pictures in there?
Yeah, you know what? It depended on how much time I had to work on it and like how much I had to actually say about the movie. Like for some movies I have a lot to say about, and others I have only kind of like smaller things to say. But yeah, so it would vary, but it really just depended on how much time I could get to work on it.
Now, I don't know, I'm assuming you go to movies with your friends,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, are you the one that after the movie you go someplace and have a pizza and a soda or something, and it's like, okay, Joe, tell us all about it.
I'm
know?
kind of the master when it comes to that, like the passing final judgment, because I have the credentials to prove it.
Isn't that terrific, huh? Wow. Are there any current movies that you liked?
Oh, I haven't been able to make it to the movies in a while. You know what?
Because you're
I
too
watched.
busy.
Yeah, I'm very busy.
Sure.
I watched a movie with my little sister. Actually, it was called Devil. It's about these guys in the elevator, and it was actually a very good movie. It was scary, but it had a good message, like heaven and hell and stuff. It was very good. You should see it. I recommend that.
All right. Maybe I'll put it after the first 24 of these or something like that. You know, Joe, I know you do a lot of good things, and hear that sometimes you raise some money, and what do you do with it?
Oh, well, sometimes I try and find like good causes for it if I have more than I need. Like, for instance, when I was little, I used to find things like the Smile Train, which was like kids with like cleft lips, or like Heifer International, which is like helps impoverished families around the world. So I donate my money to that every time there was
even
like
when you were smaller.
Even when I was small, I babysit. I'm a freelance babysitter. So when I was little, I used to get overpaid a lot. Yeah. And so I took what was kind of extra, and I like whenever there were like telethons on TV, I'd donate to that and stuff.
I know Smile Train. That's one that always touches my heart too. I think whenever you can help children, it's just a wonderful thing. And your confirmation money you gave away?
Yeah, I had a lot of money from confirmation. I have a big family, so they all came with their checkbooks and everything, and I was able to help somebody else.
And you bought a goat?
I bought a goat, Heifer International. That's what it does.
Tell me about that.
Well, the Heifer International is this kind of program. It's you can find it online and stuff. And what they do is you donate money and they'll buy like a goat or like a cow or something, and they'll give it to a family that needs like the milk or like the eggs or whatever from it. So I bought a goat and I sent it to some family in like the Middle East, and hopefully they got some use out of it and it helped them.
Wow, wow. Now I think that our diocese had kind of joined up with the diocese in Uganda, and some of our parishes have joined up with some of the parishes in Uganda, and just the same idea, knowing that we can do a little bit of help even way across the world. In fact, I was with Bishop Smith when we were over there, and they actually gave him a cow as a gift. Well, of course, he couldn't take it on the plane, so he gave it back to them. But it was nice to see the friendship. And you know what I've learned, and you're learning at a very young age, people are the same all over. I mean, fellas like yourself, have girlfriends or girlfriends like guys, and nice families, and everybody I've been wherever I traveled, they all have their children, and I think if we could always just capture some of that, we'd be so much better off, And some of the other things I noticed here, that you helped coordinate a book drive at Notre Dame High School that would help children to prevent some abduction in northern Uganda even.
Yeah, we're big with the Ugandan cause at Notre Dame. There's this Invisible Children kind of charity company that deals with that. So they partnered with us, and we do this book drive every year.
Wow.
And and it's kind of a school-wide thing, and we have a bunch of students and teachers helping with it. Wow. And this year we turned out to be we were the #1 high school in the country. So I was very proud of that.
And you raised $11,000 for that.
Yeah.
People don't realize when we live in, say, our country in a way, I know we got our problems, but they don't realize there are places where people do go and steal children.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think that that happened, 2,000 years ago or something. Well, it happens right now, and then when they do and they abuse them, it's just horrible stuff. So I think you and your fellow students at Notre Dame, when you go back, tell them I really, tell them there's a lot of love from us guys to you guys. I mean, really, it's a blessing. Now tell me about the day you got this this scholarship from the bishop.
Oh, well, actually, yeah.
We were all surprised.
Yeah, the Bishop O'Connell scholarship kind of was definitely a gift from God. It kind of came out of like nowhere to surprise us. It was it's a service scholarship. So yeah, anybody from the Diocese of Trenton that applied to the Catholic University, they immediately got like for the running of it. So I was narrowed down with a couple other students, and they did an interview, and then they said, well, we'll get back to you to see if you win it. So I remember I was at school, it was Ash Wednesday, and I was at a movie screening actually at my school. I'm head of this film club at Notre Dame, and we were doing our first screening. So in the middle of the movie, I get this phone call, so I go back, like in the back of the school, and I answer it, and it's Andrew Cox. He's an admissions officer person at Catholic, and they told me that I won it, and it was just kind of like best gifts I've ever gotten, really, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, what gets better, but I hope there are other things in your life that's going to get better.
No, there definitely will, but this was an amazing gift that I could give like my parents who worked so hard for me and stuff.
Wow. And Catholic University is a fine institution. That's right in Washington, and you must be very excited.
Oh, I'm very looking forward to it.
And was Catholic University one of the universities you wanted to attend even before this?
Yeah, that was one of my top ones. I have been to public school and Catholic school, and I noticed the difference between them. And for college, I definitely wanted to go to a Catholic school. And since I love the D.C. area, so it was right there in my top ones. And then this scholarship came along, and it was a very big blessing.
You have no choice to say yes.
Yeah, right. It was pretty much perfect. Everything lined up exactly the way.
Just picture your parents if you say, well, I got the scholarship, but I think I'm going to go out to
right?
Seattle, Sure, son.
Yeah, right? Over my dead bodies.
Yeah. What are you going to study?
Oh, I'm going to study education. I'm looking to become a teacher.
And you mentioned to me before that you like the little ones.
I like the little ones, but we'll see wherever God wants me to go.
Terrific, huh? Boy, that is terrific. You have any dreams like where you're going to be in 10 years, or is that too far away?
I don't know. I just want to be happy.
Yeah, and don't go too fast. Enjoy the marvelous gifts that God gives you. And the hopes and the dreams they'll certainly come. They'll certainly come. When you think about studying, I mean, what's interesting to me when I look back at my life, you say, well, like I started studying pharmacy, and ended up in the military and ended up a priest. So you never know where God's gonna tap you for whatever you want to do. But you know what I'd say to yourself and to so many others like you? It really is a marvelous world. There's lots of great people and lots of good things, and if you go down the right paths, you're always going to be happy and you're always going to be fine. And it doesn't mean life's always easy, but it's joyful, I think. And for the folks that listen to us, I think for them to realize that God does walk with us and that God does bless us. With your faith and your love like that, Joe, would you ever think maybe of someday really doing a big movie or doing something like that would, I don't know, be published for not just your book, but maybe a whole dream of something that would bring God's love to a lot of people?
I don't know. If I'm allowed to do something like that, if the opportunity comes up, I would love to.
Yeah.
But I'll just follow wherever God wants me to be right now.
Yeah. Is there a movie, though, that you would want everybody to make sure they see? One of your 25
this Christmas, you definitely should see It's a Wonderful Life if you haven't.
That's the one.
That's number one.
Yeah, you want everybody to do that. Tell me about your friends at Notre Dame now, or the high school friends your age. I know the day, in fact, I was very impressed the day you got the scholarship. Man, the applause you got, I think the choir was it Notre Dame's choir?
Yeah, the choir were the magical singers from Notre Dame.
Because the applause, I'm saying, how does this guy know? How does everybody know this guy? But that must have been very, very special.
Oh, that was a very special day. Yeah, I consider myself very blessed. I had all my friends in the choir and stuff up there, and Notre Dame had its students there.
So
it was a rapturous
Did they know?
applause. It was
Did they
very,
know you were going to receive the award that day?
I thought they were actually just going to kind of make a little quick announcement of it. I didn't think they were going to have a big, like, this big ceremony thing they had. They, like, called me up, and the bishop was there, and they gave me this, like, sweatshirt. It was like I got drafted in the NFL. It was a very big moment, and they were all there to cheer me on. It was a very good day.
Terrific. You know, as a priest, I was at Notre Dame myself for 10 years or so, and then I went to a university. You know, and as a pastor, you know, I just love to see young people and to be involved. You know, as a young person, what advice would you give to other young people your age out there about faith or church? Or, you know, I'm sure times can be difficult for young people today.
Times are always tough. I think the advice I would give kind of people in high school, people in middle school is just like this kind of, like your life right now is just kind of about like survival. It's about kind of getting through it as good as you can, and it always gets better. It always gets easier. Just kind of keep the faith. Don't give up on yourself. Yeah,
I think that's great advice because, again, I'm like your grandfather age or something like that. But, you know, Joe, when you look back, I remember when I was at Notre Dame at the time, you know, lots of times everybody has some difficulties. Sometimes, you know, it's subjects, or sometimes your heart's to be in the play, or your heart's to be on the team. And, you know, not everybody can be the number one play person, or the number one quarterback, or whatever it happens to be. Or sometimes we go through times when we're younger, you know, some relationship things, you know, where we might have feelings for another person, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, you know. But they are hard times, aren't they, when we're, you know, 13, 18 years old, to see maybe just how God's forming us a little bit, and maybe to say, you know, whatever we do, I think is always a lesson somehow. It's forming our character. It's forming our decision making. It's forming, I think, the way we're going to be. And sometimes I think some youngsters get caught up in things that maybe are not so good. Other times we can kind of say, you know, there is lots of growth, and never, you know, when I was your age, or even a little older than you maybe, I used to like to box a little bit. And there was a poem, and it was a fellow, Damon Runyon. I don't know if you ever hear about him in your English classes, but he wrote some good things, and he used to write about boxers and things like that. And he had a poem called "Up Again, Down Again, Up Again at 9," and it was like 10 verses. And of course, the boxer got knocked down after every verse, but he always got up, and it always ended "Up Again, Down Again." And that impressed me when I was about your age, maybe a little older, to say, you know, you got to get up. No matter what it is, you got to get up. And that, to me, was the story of Jesus, you know. I mean, you know, he carrying the cross, he kind of stumbled, at least in our stations the way they are. But I used to say, you know, got to get up, you know, because there's always that resurrection, that what's next. And to me, life was so exciting because I was always wondering, what's next? What's next? You know, because there's always something going to be coming next. And that's a great, great gift. How about for yourself? Would you recommend to some teenagers anything about what's a good movie for them to see, or what you would like them to see?
Well, talking about boxing, I have Rocky on my list.
Oh, okay.
Rocky's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like Rocky gets knocked down, but you always got to get back up, keep fighting, because it is. Life's a struggle, but you just keep getting back up, and someday it'll all work out for you.
It all does work out.
Yeah.
You know, it all works out.
There are a lot of movies on my list that I'd like a lot of people to see.
Do you ever have them over your house and say, okay, we're gonna have a movie night and we're gonna?
No, you know what? But I always have movie nights with my families. We have that a lot. So.
Okay. So it's the same sort of thing. But I can picture that when you get to Catholic University, you'll probably have
definitely
some of those
some
dorms
movie nights
and some of those kind of things. You know, it's interesting how you know, you look at life and you look at God and you look at certain things in your life. You know, I had a priest friend when I was in high school who I still remember, and I know times have changed. You know, but I was playing some basketball, and I was a sophomore, and he taught juniors and seniors. And I remember he came over to me. He said, "Nolan," he said, "I want you in my Greek class." I said, "I don't want to be in Greek class." You know, I said, "I want you in my Greek class." "I don't want to be in Greek class." She said, "Come up when you're done practicing here. Come up in my office." You know, So I went up to see him, and and I remember he said to me, he said, "I want you in Greek class." And I said, "I don't want to be in Greek class." And he gave me a little shot in the ribs, you know. So I said, "Fine, I'll be in Greek class," you know. And it was one of the greatest things in the world because he was just a man who, and you can imagine in high school, kids want really, just like yourself, you got excited about, you know, we read the Odyssey in Greek. And I just couldn't wait for like the next sequence and the next things to happen. And of course, he was just a marvelous man. And then I think this is how people touch your lives. I also had him for religion. And he would talk about John's gospel. And I remember, it was a junior, senior. At first it was like, oh, okay, because he even said to us one time, would you like to go to Central Park in New York? And we're all like saying, yeah, we'll go, Father, what do you want us to do? He said, no, we're going to talk about John's gospel. I said, John's gospel in Central Park, you know. But it's amazing how somebody can touch your life. And I got to tell you this little story if I have enough time. He wrote a play called The Three-Cornered Hat. And it was Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness. And he actually said there are three characters, St. Ignatius, the devil, and the Lord. And he wanted to know, in part of the play, the riddle to Ignatius was, two men went up on the mountain to find God. One went up on the mountain and found God and stayed on the mountain. One went up on the mountain and found God and came back out of the mountain and worked with his people. Who found God the most? Well, because the riddle is the one who goes on the mountain and finds God but comes back to the earth, because that's the incarnation. That's what Jesus did. Well, that was in my mind. And when I was at Notre Dame, was their chaplain one day. It was Holy Thursday, and they asked me to run down to a parish where a priest got sick and to say Mass on Holy Thursday. And I'm saying, oh my gosh, what do I do? I got no homily. And this story I just told you popped in my mind. And I'll tell you at the end of the story. So I told the story at Mass. Somebody said to me, was that Father York? That priest you're talking about? I said, yeah. He said, he had died in the meantime. He said, he gave a mission here. And he said, he said he was a marvelous priest. So anyway, I stayed overnight and went upstairs to get a room. And the housekeeper said, the room upstairs, Father York stayed in that room, and nobody had stayed in that room since he stayed there, and now you came. I said, wow, maybe faith's a little more mysterious and a little deeper than I ever thought, So I hope you keep telling your stories, Joseph. You're a great young man. Tell your mom and dad you love them, and tell the other kids, never be afraid of God. He walks with us, he loves us, and if we trust him, somehow, just I look back at my life and see some of the trust that I needed sometimes in life. He always seemed to carry me through, and I hope you guys have the same kind of blessings. Bless you, Joseph. We love you.
Thank you so much,
Love you very, very much. Please, young guys, young girls, stay with Joseph. Stay with your God. Just be blessed and know just how blessed you really, really are. Let your families know it. Pray it. Whatever your heart and dream is, write your own story. Write your own movie. Let it be alive. Thanks. What a blessing.